If this law passes on April 1st, public drag will now be criminalized. I could go to jail for 15 years for appearing outside in drag.
I'm DuBalle, and I am a full-time drag entertainer and the show host at Atomic Rose in Memphis, Tennessee.
I'm losing my voice, calling on you.
Not only is drag really important to my livelihood, it's also been really important to me in my understanding of myself. Growing up in the South as a queer person, I had to learn to suppress anything and everything considered feminine about me as a defense mechanism so that I wouldn't be such a target for bullying. And as I grew up and discovered drag, it gave me a place to put all of these feminine things on display. And for the first time in my life, they weren't considered weakness, but were seen as strength. So it was very, not only affirming, but I would say life-saving for me.
This week, Tennessee became the first state to pass a law that will restrict drag performances on public property or anywhere a child could see them. Conservatives say drag shows expose children to sexually suggestive content, while performers here say the law is discriminatory and feels designed to push them back into the closet.
The law would technically reclassify drag artists, or as it states, male and female impersonators, as adult cabaret artists who appeal to a prurient interest. And here in Tennessee, prurient means a shameful or morbid interest in sex. First off, this is not what we as drag entertainers do. Is there drag that appeals to an adult audience? Absolutely. But like many other art forms, we know what's appropriate for kids and what's not. Governor Bill Lee, just before signing the bill, was confronted with a photo of himself from his high school yearbook in 1977, where he appeared in drag at a Powder Puff football event.
What a ridiculous question that is. Conflating something like that to sexualized entertainment in front of children, which is a very serious subject.
When questioned about this, the governor said that it was ridiculous to conflate such a thing with a sexual performance in front of minors. And I agree, it's not the same thing. But he does not agree with me that the law, as he signed it, doesn't make any such distinction. It's very vague terminology that does not make any differentiation between a male and female impersonator and a cosplayer, a wrestler, clergy, theater, opera, people dressing up for Halloween, these kind of school fundraisers that we've done in Tennessee for decades. And most importantly, it makes no distinctions between a male and female impersonator and a trans, non-binary, or gender non-conforming person who's simply living their lives under a constitutionally protected expression. So for me, it's the vague terminology of the bill that's so alarming. I've been doing drag for 10 years, and I still can't exactly and succinctly define what drag is. And the fact that these lawmakers who know so little about my art and have never been to a drag show think that they can define it well enough to legislate it is alarming to me. We already have laws on the books here in Tennessee, obscenity laws, that prevent any public display of a sexual nature in front of a minor. Our shows and festivals have always adhered to those laws. So my question is, why this legislation now? Why are we singling out drag artists with this new bill? Their only defense of this is that children are somehow in danger or under attack at a drag show, that they're going to be groomed or that something is going to happen that abuses them in some way. And my question to the governor is, show me the evidence. Show me one single instance of a child ever being harmed or abused at a drag show. He could produce none. Even the White House press secretary made comment that the governor was unable to provide a single instance or occurrence of anything that this law talks about. Children are not in danger at drag shows. We're not busting down people's doors and reading to their kids. You have to choose to bring them into this environment. And we need to provide this for queer children. This argument of we have to protect the kids discounts the existence of trans and queer youth. I meet these kids every single Sunday at my brunch, and many of them have never experienced a safe space or a sense of community before. The Trevor Project reported that last year, 45% of LGBTQ plus youth had contemplated suicide. 1 out of 5 trans or gender non-conforming youth attempted suicide. These kids are not at greater risk because of their sexual orientation or their gender identity. They're at risk because we allow people in positions of power to spread lies and hateful, baseless rhetoric that dehumanize and denigrates an entire already vulnerable minority. So there are places we can protect the kids, but right now, I'm worried about queer children that I'm charged to protect. You go to the movie theater, they've got a rating that tells you this one's G, it's good to take your kids into. This one's rated R, don't go there. We as adults know what is appropriate to put in front of a minor. So if you come to our show on Friday or Saturday night, the audience is 21 and up. So what you see may include adult entertainment or something that kids shouldn't see. If you come on a Sunday to our all ages event, every single performer there adjusts their language, their song choices, the clothing that they wear to make sure that everything that we do is perfectly acceptable to be done in front of kids. We're following the rules, y'all. The district attorney of Memphis, Steve Mulroy, agreed that there is not a single show happening in his county that is in violation of this law, so he will make no attempt to enforce it. The ACLU stepped in and said that this definition of adult cabaret and prurient interest does not apply to drag. And if a single performer or establishment is hassled, please contact them so that they can sue the state immediately. The White House press secretary comes out and says this law is unnecessary, it is dangerous to queer people.
What sense does that make to go after drag shows? How is that going to help people's lives who are thinking about the economy, who are thinking about making sure their kids are going to be safe when they go to school, or their communities are safe? But that's what he wants to focus on.
There's no way that you can tell me that this bill is not a concentrated attack on queer people in Tennessee. It's not a coincidence that the governor signed SB 1 and SB 3 on the same day. He's trying to send a message to queer Tennesseans that they don't want us here. And if we stay here, they're going to try and take our rights away. For a lot of my performers, this has made them nervous. Many of us, this is our full-time job. One of my drag kids, this is how they support their child. And so not only are we trying to protect our livelihood, we're trying to protect the art that has sustained us and given us joy for so many years. It's disheartening to know that the people in your state don't want you there or don't value you.
I may need your help with legal fees because mama ain't quitting. I'll get arrested. I don't care. Somebody's got to be first. We'll sue the state. But whatever happens, we are queer people. We are very strong, and we will rise.
It wasn't until going viral for this speech that I have ever received death threats or threats of physical harm or violence. And I think that that's sort of a microcosm of what this legislation is about. It's just an attempt to cause fear so that maybe I'll sit down and be quiet. But queer voices can't be silenced. Even if my voice is silenced, it's the Hydra. Cut off one head and 2 will grow in its place. There's going to be an endless line of other queer people that follow after me to pick up the brick and keep carrying on. But for right now, it's my turn, and I have to stay and fight for all these kids that are going to grow up queer in this state.
What's left to say? These prayers ain't working.
There have been so many people that want to come out and put their bodies in the room as a show of advocacy just to let us know that they're in our corner. For me personally, I'm a drag entertainer on Beale Street. Memphis has the 4th highest violent crime rate in the nation, and I walk around dressed as a lady, so I'm already in danger. But for me, if there is an increased sense of danger, it has been well met by the people that protect us. Our establishment has beefed up security. We now have the little wand that detects metal and guns. So we're taking every step to make sure that our entertainers, our patrons, and our staff are safe and protected. There are legislations like this being proposed all across the country. Currently, 19 different states have anti-queer laws that are either on the books or in the works. We need to raise awareness about this cause so that maybe it will get national attention. Obviously, President Biden has already, through the press secretary, affirmed that he has always stood beside this community and will continue to do so. But that may require him to act. So please get loud and get out there and put your body in the spaces. Support the queer people. Tip those queens. It's not easy for them. You can use your money to support the ACLU here in Tennessee. Mid-South Pride is a great organization. We've got so many, the Tennessee Equality Project. So you can do some research and find out where you can put your money. You can also use your money to make yourself heard by boycotting Tennessee. Don't buy from any of the corporations that make their home here. See if perhaps they'll listen to that. But most of all, what I need you to do is vote. 10% of queer Tennesseans voted in the last election. Please register to vote, make your voice heard, and consider running for office. Most of the people that I've come up against are not very qualified for the jobs that they're in, and many of them ran unopposed in their last elections. So please consider stepping up and becoming a leader.